Oh, hello. Welcome to Grow Weed, the channel where I cook my way through all the cookbooks I own and have never used. We are still working with Delicious Disney, where we'll be making rosemary grilled lamb chops with white beans and marinated artichokes. That's a mouthful. But honestly, the picture looks really good. I'm hoping this one comes out well. Lamb's not something I eat a lot of, but when I've had it, I've enjoyed it. So this is the first time I'll be making lamb at home. So let's just get into this one. Let's get started. For the lamb chops, um, these are the lamb chops I got. Obviously, they weren't the cheapest. $20 for five is not a great deal, but I went to a couple different places and everybody had smaller lamb chops. They were cheaper. You could get more for about $10 to $15 more, but like they were really small. These were the biggest ones I saw, and I thought I might as well get big ones. So that's what I'm doing. We're gonna set those to the side right now, just so I don't have to wash my hands right away. The recipe calls for 16 to 20 lamb chops. I'm not doing that. I'm just using the five, and then I'll have extras of stuff. That we do need to go ahead and chop some fresh rosemary. This is just from the store. Those pre-packaged fresh herbs is all this is. We need about 3 tablespoons. That is our chopped rosemary. We need 2 tablespoons of minced. You know what? I'm just going to get the other ingredients ready. I didn't do any of that. Now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and put in 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. I was going to do the ribs or the lamb chops, but I figured not quite yet. I'm going to call that 2 tablespoons. And then we need a teaspoon of dried red chili peppers. So that's what I have. This is crushed red pepper. I don't think there's much of a difference. Maybe there is, maybe this is not the right thing, but I already owned it, so I wasn't going to question it. We need 2 tablespoons of sea salt. So I'm just going to, it says a coarse sea salt, so I am using my Maldon, how do you say it? I always say Maldon, because it's like a French sea salt, but I don't know if that's right. And then we need a half cup of olive oil. So I've got this olive oil here. I love this bottle. And I am just going to eyeball what maybe will appear to be a half cup. Probably a little more. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of get in there with my hands and give that a mix. I'm going to open up our lamb chops. The recipe says if you're using a rack of lamb to get the lamb chops from, you want them cut about 1 inch thick. So that's probably about what these are. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of places that had these. They actually weren't as hard to find as I thought. It was just hard to find thick ones. A lot of the racks of lamb that I was finding around this time of year, which is in February, were small. So I don't know if that plays a part of it or not, but we're just going to get these nice and coated, and then we're going to let these sit for about 45 minutes. We're moving on while our lamb chops, are they lamb chops? I keep calling it, yeah, lamb chops. Marinate. I don't know why. I feel like these are not supposed to be called chops, but that's neither here nor there, really. We're going to get started with the white bean and marinated artichoke side dish that comes with this. I don't know what you would call it. Once again, it's kind of like a salad almost. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. We need a 1/4 cup of minced garlic in a pot. So I'm just gonna, that was a lot louder than I thought. Okay, there's our 1/4 cup of garlic. Yes, I know it's 2 different colors. It's 2 jarred minced garlics from 2 different brands. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm not going to say here minced garlic. So that's what we're doing. We need a cup of finely chopped red onions. So I have
still this huge red onion. So I'm gonna chop this little bit and see how much a cup is. I have my cup measuring cup out. It's right here. Let us go ahead and get some fennel. So this is fennel. It's that, I'm sure you've seen it at the grocery store, but I don't think everybody knows what fennel is. But it kind of tastes a little bit like licorice. So we need a cup of fennel. And I'm not going to use the greens. I'm just using the like white root vegetable part. And I do now have to Google, can you use fennel greens for things? I don't see why not. Or is it just something that, like, I don't know, you need to throw away? I can't imagine that, you know? What do we think the best way to cut this is? Let's do it in quarters. I feel like maybe the best way to cut it was kind of like an onion, but we did not do that. And now, I don't know. What do we want to do? Let's just do this. You can tell that I don't use fennel. I don't mind fennel. I don't necessarily like licorice, but I think in a lot of food, the fennel like isn't that bad anymore. I've just made such a big mess. This is some of our fennel. Get that in there. And then is this what I get for doing it on a Monday night? I don't know why I'm making such a big mess. But I'm going to get these in there. I'm going to take a second to clean up, and I'll be right back. I've cleaned up. I've got our pot with our onions, our fennel, our garlic. I'm going to add in some olive oil. It doesn't say how much, but we're just going to saute. And then we're turning this on to like a medium-high heat. And we're going to saute for about 7 minutes. It says until the vegetables are tender. So it's been just at 7 minutes. I went ahead and lowered the heat a lot. I have to say, these smell way better than I thought. I wasn't sure, like, obviously this works, right, because it's in a cookbook, but I wasn't really sure how the fennel and red onion would smell together. But there's literally just garlic, onion, and fennel in here, and I could eat this straight up. But now it's time to go ahead and add in, I'm trying to figure out what to do with the spoon. There we go. Add in the rest of our ingredients. So I'm going to start with our marinated artichokes. These are the artichokes I have. It's literally the Kirkland brand. But I saw very similar ones to these at Publix. So I wasn't worried about it. We need a cup of artichoke. It doesn't say to chop it or anything, so I've just got a spoon. And I'm just going to put some in here. Maybe try to get not that big one. As I just drip artichoke oil down everything. But there's our cup of artichoke. That's what I'm going to say it is. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of turn off the heat for now because I need to get these ingredients are not pre-prepped. I'm prepping them as I go, which is part of the problem, but whatever. We've got our artichokes. We need to add 4 cups of cannellini beans. It says high quality. I did not buy high quality. I bought Publix brand. So I'm just going to measure out. I have 3 cans of these because I knew I didn't need 4. But, I really wasn't sure how much 2 cans would get me. I have been having these drain for like 2 or 3 hours just in the sink. There we go. Okay, so I've got probably like 3/4 of a can left. That's fine. I'll figure out what to do with it. I'm not worried about it, but if you don't like beans, or if you buy only beans for this recipe, just keep that in mind. We've got our beans. We need to add a cup of corn. So it's not corn season. So I have had this baby golden white corn in the freezer for too long. As you can see, it I ripped it getting out of the freezer because it was so stuck to the like grates in my freezer that I just like really had to tear off. And I knew this was in there, and I just have not used it. And I don't know, the recipe does not say to use frozen corn, but I can't imagine that's going to be that big of a deal. So there's our corn. This is the other part of the recipe that I am not so sure I'm doing right. But I have these San Marzano tomatoes in a can. The recipe called for a cup of diced Roma tomato, and the store didn't have any fresh tomatoes labeled Roma tomatoes, so I didn't want to just like guess is I guess the word. I was trying my best, so I googled it, and the internet told me that a San Marzano tomato is similar to a Roma tomato, so that's what I bought. These should be whole tomatoes. They're like whole tomatoes in a tomato sauce, which I didn't really want, but I didn't also have an option. But let's get these guys chopped. It doesn't matter. It's just gonna be a mess. The internet said that these are like Roma tomatoes, and that they're a little meatier, but they seem kind of juicy to me. They have a similar shape though, so I think it'll be fine. I am gonna do something that's probably not great. There we go. Use the tip of my knife. I'm gonna wash my hands. We'll get this cup of tomato in there. Okay, so I've cleaned up. I've turned the heat back on, kind of giving this a little bit of a stir. We've got the heat going back up. So now it's time to add in 3¼ cups of chicken stock. This is our chicken stock, the regular Swanson stuff. Let me see if I have my 3/4 cup, because doing this on a Monday really is like, I don't know, I'm really not prepared for anything. But I was too busy yesterday. I normally film on Sundays, and I read The Housemaid, that novel, all in one day. And you know what? That was the right choice. I do not regret my decision. So here we are Monday night, making Monday night dinner. This is a little fancier than I cook on a weekday, but I think it'll still be good. We're going to let this simmer for about 2 minutes. It's been 2 minutes. We get to add some more ingredients to this. We are going to add in some salt. How much salt are we supposed to add? A tablespoon. I think that'll be fine. We are going to add in a tablespoon of dried red chili pepper. Once again, I'm using crushed red pepper. I can't imagine it's that much different. These are the things that are like, as much as I love food and I love learning about food, I never would have thought to look this up until this recipe. And I didn't look it up until I started filming it. So that's too late now. We're in the middle of this. We need to add in a tablespoon of lemon zest. There is one thing I've noticed. Okay. We've got our lemon zest in there. And now we need to add in 2 cups of store-bought white balsamic vinaigrette, which, to be fair, I didn't buy. I forgot to buy white balsamic vinaigrette. And you know what I bought instead? Because I can't read what I wrote. That's right, you guessed it. I bought white balsamic vinegar. So I looked up a recipe online yesterday and made my own balsamic vinaigrette. I'm not so sure how it tastes. It's been sitting. It smells great. I should taste it. Oh, that tastes great too. And I'm going to go ahead and measure out a cup. And I'll link to this. But yeah, I've never made my own vinaigrette before. I know it's easy. That was incredibly easy, and I had all the ingredients minus the white balsamic vinegar. So it took no time at all, which is nice. But yeah, it probably would have been easier to just buy one. But hey, you know what? We got to make a new recipe, and it tastes pretty good. So I think it's a win in my book. Now I guess I gotta make a salad. But let's let that simmer for a couple minutes. So it's been just about 2 minutes. Now it's time to finish this part off. We need a quarter cup of chopped fresh basil and a quarter cup of chopped fresh parsley. The basil's looking rough. And all of them at the store I was at looked pretty rough. If I had been shopping around a little more, I would have gotten better looking basil, but I was done shopping for the day. Oh well, there's a whole leaf in there now. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say this is the best basil. It's just what we have. So I am just kind of ripping it. I'm not chopping it. I'm ripping it instead. We need a quarter cup. I figure, that's not a lot of basil. Okay, so that's my quarter cup of basil. I'm going to go ahead and close that, move that to the side. Now, I don't have fresh parsley. They didn't have any, so I have some dried parsley flakes that I'm just going to add in. And I'm going to say that that's about a quarter cup. It might be a little off, but dried herbs are typically a little stronger than fresh herbs, so I don't want to go too hard. And then lastly, the last thing we're adding in here before we set this to the side is spinach. So I have this giant thing of spinach. It probably doesn't even all fit in frame. Does it fit this way? Yeah, it fits this way. It's huge. But I'll use it with my homemade vinaigrette. So we need 2 cups of spinach. And I'm just going to say a little bit more than that's probably 2 cups. There we go. And then we're going to give this a stir in, and we're supposed to simmer until this is wilted. I've turned off the heat on this because obviously this is a cast iron pan or pot. So it's going to retain heat a lot better. We're just kind of stirring it in. And spinach famously, wilts to nothing. But I do have to say, this smells really good. We don't have any actual pepper, like black pepper in here. We just have the red pepper flakes. So I've got a fork to the side, and I'm going to try this and then see if maybe we need to add maybe some more salt and pepper. I think the salt will probably be okay, but I am definitely anticipating having to add pepper. But look at that. That spinach. That spinach just cooks so fast. But let's give this a try. Okay, so that was incredibly hot. But it tastes really, really good. And I can taste my vinaigrette in there. I don't know if that's right or not, but I can distinctly taste that. And it has a great flavor, so I'm not mad. But I'm going to go ahead and move this off to the side on the stove. And we'll get ready for the lamb chops. But I have this grill pan here. I don't own an actual grill, so when I want something grilled, this is what I use. We've got our lamb here that we have turned over a couple times in the olive oil. And we're just going to go ahead and cook on our pan. The recipe says to cook over hot coals for 4 to 5 minutes each side. So that's what we're going to do. I know these are not hot coals, but it'll be fine. It'll work out just okay. Just got to fit them in here. There we go. I really just want to pour this on top, but I know I shouldn't. I did Google what temperature to cook these guys to, and it said 130 to 135, which that one is not. Let's see. I think the smaller ones are done. These bigger 2 are not quite done. So I'm going to get the smaller ones off and continue cooking the big ones. Hey, so you just saw it. Here is, well, it's going to slide, but look at that. Honestly, it looks pretty good. I'm going to, I guess, cut to take a bite because I know I've got to cut off pieces of the lamb and stuff. So it's going to be a process to take a bite, but I'll be right back. So here's our bite. Our lamb's definitely probably a little more medium, the medium rare, but hey, that's okay. You know, they weren't all cooking the same. But let's give this a bite. That's great. I don't know if it's because I didn't know what to expect or what, but that is so good. Uh, mm. Now it's for the rating, right? That's where this one gets a little tough because even though the lamb was easy to find, it wasn't necessarily the cheapest ingredient. Like that was what, $4 per chop. Um, so you know, and I definitely see where if you had like 16 to 20, like the recipe calls for, the amount of bean and artichoke stuff, stew, I don't know what it is, but the amount of that you would have for those is perfect. Like that is the exact right amount. Um, Definitely not for me. I'm gonna have to figure out. I'm probably gonna make chicken. Let's be honest, and eat chicken with the bean dip. Although you can probably eat it on its own. It's that good. Um, so what do we do, right? I guess I will give this one. Can we say an 8.5? I think I'm gonna go 8.5. I feel like I'm really struggling with the last couple to really adequately rate them, but I think 8.5 is good for this one. The recipe was super easy to follow. The ingredients were easy to find, even though I messed up buying white balsamic vinegar instead of vinaigrette. But I made my own. Like I said, that recipe's in the bottom or in the description, which was actually really good vinaigrette. So I'm glad I found that recipe. Yeah, it really just was that the lamb was expensive. It wasn't even hard to find. It was hard to find kind of a good size, but I just went to a couple butchers. I went to Publix. They even had lamb at Costco. It's just very tiny. So that's really my big gripe with it. I liked this one. I would recommend it. I guess, yeah, that's really all I have. I do want to say I am filming this on the 1 year anniversary of the channel. And we're almost at 200 subscribers, which is really fun. I never really thought I'd get that far. Now I'm like, ooh, what if I get more? Which probably requires better editing and better thumbnails that I just am not good at, and I haven't spent enough time on to really learn. But thank you to everybody who's subscribed. Thanks to everybody who's watching. I can't believe this little experiment's been a year long. I'm having a great time. I've learned to cook things that I never would have cooked before. And I'm learning, flavor profiles and food techniques. So that's really fun. I hope you guys enjoy. Let's keep this going until we run out of cookbooks, I guess. If you have a cookbook suggestion, leave it in the comment section, and I'll definitely look into it. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.